Hi, I'm Evan from Granite Technologies, and I'm here with Big Daddy Don Garlitz, and we're going to talk a little bit about the museum that Big Daddy has here, as well as some of the history involved in this really nice attraction. And if you're heading down 75 by Ocala, be sure to stop in the museum, meet Don, and see this wonderful collection. But now let's hear a little bit from you, Big Daddy, about the museum and the history involved.
Well, I've always had a love for cars. When I was a little boy, I'll never forget, my dad parked a Model T Ford down in the woods that my mom and dad came down from New Jersey in. Most people didn't trade cars in those days. They just parked them out in the field and got another one because they weren't very expensive. But that was my first experience around an engine and a car, and I've always loved them. Then in 1976, my wife and I were traveling in England, and we saw some of the English museums that house some great automobiles, and we got the idea for a drag racing museum because I had several of my cars in storage back in Florida. Well, we got that going, built a 6,000 square foot building, then another 6,000 square foot. We had 12,000, and people were donating cars. They all wanted to be part of it. All of my buddies that had these cars set aside that they didn't want to sell and see somebody chop them up, but they would love for them to be on display. So we acquired quite a few vehicles that way. But nobody came to this museum. We were in Sefner, Florida, and it was a little town way out in the country, and the only people that stopped by were just our personal friends, and we couldn't charge them. So one day my wife says, "What are you going to do when you can't afford to keep this thing anymore?" I said, "Well, I always thought I'd move it to the interstate." And so that led to the museum being placed here in Ocala, Florida on I-75 at exit 341. Of course, it has grown from a modest 12,000 square foot building to over 65,000 square feet. It houses almost 300 cars totally. We trace drag racing back to the roots in California in the 40s, and we trace the automobile all the way back to the 1900s when they were made completely out of wood and had a one-cylinder engine. It's a nice, enjoyable visit, and anyone that's traveling in this part of the country should stop in and take a look. But allow plenty of time because it is big, and most people spend about 4 hours here because there is a lot to see. And this little car we're doing right here is a 1948 Crosley that I found at a swap meet in Atlanta. And we thought that, it would be appropriate to have a Crosley in the collection because here was a car that was ahead of its time. In the 40s, this vehicle got 50 miles to the gallon and had a 300-mile range. This was definitely a gas saver, and a family of 4 had no trouble riding in it. But gas was 13, 19 cents a gallon in those days, and that didn't interest people, and the company went out of business. But we found this rare example, and we're restoring it back to just exactly it was original. And it had the wood grain sides on it, and Granite is here at the present time putting back that beautiful bird's eye maple that was on it when it rolled out of the showroom in 1948.
And in just a minute, we're going to let Big Daddy himself take a hand at the wood graining.
I'm going to love it. Evan, this Crosley has one original headlamp seal beam. This is one of the original seal beams, 1948. Notice it's got a metal rim, and there's actually a bulb inside. But you can't change that bulb. You have to buy the whole thing. It was crimped together. Very unusual. I've never seen one like it. Got the date right on it. July 1948.
And that'll go in the museum.
Yeah, this will go in the museum with all the old parts in one of the glass cabinets for future generations.
There you go.
See how it was back in 1948.
Now, tell us about what your idea is for the wagon. We just been talking about a possible idea for the wagon.
Well, we look at this little wagon and it puts us in mind of the surfers in California. They would have loved these things because they were kind of far out characters, I'd like to find an old original wooden surfboard put one of those old racks up on the top that you used to get them on top of a Volkswagen. Put that surfboard up there, and I bet it would really make a neat display. And then name the car something, some lady's name in front of the Crosley, like Leanne Crosley or something like that.
That sounds good. You know what? I'd say by the time you're seeing this video, you can come to Don's Museum here in Ocala and see the Leanne Crosley Woody wagon finished in all its glory. Right, Leanne?